There is no denying that artificial intelligence has rapidly changed how we live, learn, and work. And AI will continue to disrupt industries, cultures, and curricula for years to come. The rapid advancement of grammatically accurate tools like ChatGPT and visually accurate tools like HeyGen have led to a slew of sensationalist articles, bold claims, and depressing predictions. For example, a recent article from The Atlantic titled "The End of Foreign Language Education" has been making the rounds the past few weeks, and it's been forwarded to me by friends and family who are concerned about the future prospects of my language-based career. The article begins with the author questioning her efforts to learn Mandarin Chinese the past few years after watching a HeyGen avatar of herself speaking in, quote, perfect Chinese. As the author writes, "I've been studying the language on and off for only a few years, and I'm far from fluent. But there I was, pronouncing each character flawlessly in the correct tone, just as a native speaker would. Gone were my grammar mistakes and awkward pauses, replaced by a smooth and slightly alien-sounding voice. By merely uploading a selfie taken on my iPhone, I was able to glimpse a level of Mandarin fluency that may elude me for the rest of my life. Its language technology is good enough to make me question whether learning Mandarin is wasted effort." Fortunately for all of us, her concerns in the article are not warranted. Sure, such AI-powered tools are impressive, and I can certainly empathize with the author's envy of these kind of tools. It takes us humans years to do what it seems like computers can accomplish in just a few seconds. But please don't underestimate the power of the human brain. With enough exposure and practice, you will reach fluency in Mandarin Chinese or any other human language. And when you do, you won't sound like a robot or need to rely on a digital device to communicate. In this video, I share 3 reasons why AI is not a harbinger of death for language learning and some of my rebuttals to some of the leaps of logic in the Atlantic article. Number 1. Classrooms are not necessary to learn languages. The article shares some pessimistic statistics about reductions in foreign language education studies in schools in many industrialized countries around the world. Quote, "The number of students studying foreign languages in the US and other countries is shrinking. Total enrollment in language courses other than English at American colleges decreased 29.3% from 2009 to 2021, according to the latest data from the Modern Language Association, better known as the MLA. In Australia, only 8.6% of high school seniors were studying a foreign language in 2021, a historic low. In South Korea and in New Zealand, universities are closing their French, German, and Italian departments." The author then assumes a correlation between the rise of AI-powered language tools and this reduction in language education. Quote, "It's clear that people are turning away from language learning just as automatic translation becomes ubiquitous across the internet. This does seem alarming on the surface, and it is indeed a shame that there appears to be a downward trend in institutional interest in and emphasis on foreign languages. But just because rates of foreign language education are decreasing in schools, it doesn't automatically follow that rates of language learning are decreasing in the world. First of all, classes are not the only place to learn a foreign language. In fact, in many ways, they are an awful place to learn languages. And I say this as a language learner and teacher who spent a lot of time in classrooms. At school, languages tend to be treated as academic subjects that can be systematically taught, memorized, and tested. The truth is that language acquisition is an innate drive, more akin to learning to walk than learning something like math. We learn to walk and to speak by trying, falling, and getting up again and again. It's a matter of active physical practice and subconscious internalization, not conscious study and memorization. Second, today's language learner has unprecedented access to language learning resources, tools, and tutors, both human and AI-powered. Your address, income, and schedule are not the barriers they once were. Got 15 minutes during your lunch break? Fire up the italki app on your phone and have a one-on-one session with your tutor. Or you could even get 24/7 personalized practice with an AI-powered tutor using Teacher AI. This is but one of the many cases in which AI actually enhances and supplements humans, not replaces them. So don't despair if the language you or your children wants to learn is no longer offered in your high school or university. You don't need a class. You just need exposure and practice. And these 2 essential ingredients are actually easier to get now, thanks to the very AI tools that are supposedly killing the need to learn languages in the first place. Number 2. AI tools can help you immerse and practice. Getting fluent and literate in a foreign language requires an immense amount of input, which is listening and reading, and output, which is speaking and writing. A large proportion of this exposure and practice will naturally be provided by other humans, whether you are practicing speaking with a tutor or getting your writing corrected, listening to a podcast, or watching TV shows or movies. And these are all certainly excellent ways to get the exposure and practice you need. But such human-provided, human-powered resources needn't make up your entire language learning toolbox. There are a number of reasons why AI-powered tools should actually supplement the human-powered ones that you're using. 24/7 availability. Computers don't sleep. So AI-powered tools like Teacher AI are available whenever you want them. Tutoring platforms like italki, though extremely helpful, and I do encourage you to use them as well, require that you schedule ahead of time and meet at an agreed upon time. Whereas with Teacher AI, anytime you want to use it, just open the app on your phone or in your web browser, and boom, you can practice listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Trying to communicate with native speakers, though the end goal for most language learners, can be extremely intimidating in the early stages of your language learning journey. This is where AI can really help. Even when your grammar and vocabulary is quite limited, you can still try to communicate with an algorithm. The social stakes and the performance anxiety are brought to zero. Personalized practice. Tools like ChatGPT can point out mistakes in your vocabulary and your grammar. They can summarize and shorten lengthy passages. They can rewrite things in other words and simpler words and vocabulary. They can answer questions about the language or about your own language usage. They can provide two-way communication practice, and they can fill in gaps in your linguistic and cultural knowledge. And number 3, languages are about real-time connection, not translation. It's true that some AI-powered translators can now provide rapid, mostly accurate translations between different languages. But we are a long, long way from a Star Trek-style universal translator that lets you speak your language as your interlocutors, the people you're communicating with, simultaneously hear in their own head, in their own language, what you are saying with no delay. Instead, you have to say a sentence or two into your device as the other person waits patiently. They then hear or read the translation and then repeats the process in the other direction. This might help monolinguals communicate in a pinch during travel situations, for example, but does it really help humans connect? I argue no. Having to rely on a device creates a literal barrier between you and the person or people you're communicating with. And the time delay creates an artificial, laborious style of exchange. This is actually one point on which I agree with the author of the Atlantic article. Those who give up on language learning in favor of translation tools will lose more than they gain. Quote, as the technology becomes normalized, we may find that we've allowed deep human connections to be replaced by communication that's technically proficient, but ultimately hollow. And we've already seen this with technologies like social media, texting, and email. New digital tools often end up overtaking deeper organic forms of connection. But it's important to remember that we always still have a choice. Just because texting has become normalized, it doesn't mean we can't still call our friends and family if we want to. Just because email has become the default form of written communication today, it doesn't mean you can't still send a physical handwritten letter if you want to. And just because Google Translate can render your thoughts into another language, it doesn't mean you shouldn't learn how to do so yourself. Spoken fluency in languages is part of what makes us human, and it's the ultimate goal for most language learners. And reaching conversational fluency unlocks rapid, authentic, intimate, human-to-human connection that no technology will replace anytime soon. It may someday, but I think it's farther away than what many tech evangelists and doomsayers claim. And such a level of fluency is not only possible, it's all but guaranteed if you do the right things. Again, that means sufficient exposure and tons of practice, not sitting in a classroom. So no, AI will not replace the need for learning languages, nor the many benefits fluency provides. On the contrary, these AI-powered tools make it easier and more efficient than ever to acquire languages anywhere, anytime, using the immersion-based approach that I advocate. For more on how to get started on this approach, download my free immersion quick start guide at anywhereimmersion.com. Happy immersing, and we'll see you next time.